everybody, and it's so nice to be invited to this little community. It's really lovely. Quick question, who here is already working on their business or is a founder? Yeah? And who's got a project that they've got, or an idea that they've got in mind, or is looking for their thing? And who's just here for the cake? That's totally fine, there's no judgment here. Okay, cool.
Or for you.
And for me, thank you guys. A little introduction to me. So I'm Briony. I moved to Caparica just over 4 years ago. So I live just over at the back there in Santo Antonio. I can see the cliffs at the back of my window, and I am close to the sea, which is something that I always wanted to do. So it's been a really big and life-changing move for me. But one of the things that was really difficult for me was that I already had my own business before I moved. And I kind of had to rebuild it when I got here for many reasons. One was COVID and just what happened to the economy. One was Brexit. And another was just like, how do you network with people? How do you build and find your contacts when they're all in a different country to you? So I've been on this little journey of like how to do that. And when Clary asked me about doing something at Founders Breakfast, I thought that could be quite a cool thing to share. I said originally 2, but I'm going to change it. It's 3 things that I think are super important that anyone who is in a business, is thinking of starting a business, is thinking of starting a project, or just an idea, some things that are really, really fundamental and that I wish I'd learnt when I was working on my business in the UK. So that's what we're going to do today. We've got a little exercise later. But first, I should probably tell you what I do and what my business is. So I work in sustainability. I work with businesses, and in a very, very simplistic term, I help them be kinder to people and the planet. With some businesses, it's about making things less bad, which is good, but kind of not the best targets. And when I'm lucky, I get to work with the businesses who are trying to create something really positive, give back, be regenerative. But I've worked in this industry for about 15 years, and so I started off in like waste prevention, environmental management. I've also worked in the charity sector doing work with social impact and community development, and the two are very, very much tied. Kind of people and the planet are always there together for a reason. And I found myself being a strategist for sustainability. Not really sure how all my different jobs sort of landed me in this, but that's somewhere that I've spent a lot of time working with a business, looking at what they do, what their impacts are, and helping them make a plan about how to improve that. What can they do differently? And I've done that with lots of different sort of sectors. I've done a lot of work with the NHS. I've done a lot of work with events industries, small businesses, and tried not to work too much with big corporates because they're terrible at actually doing stuff, but sometimes I've been there as well. Not all of them, but it's difficult because what you're trying to do is create change. You're not just trying to get people to stop doing something, you're trying to change mindsets and behaviours. And somewhere, maybe about 6 years ago, I found myself as a very stressed out and burnt out consultant. I was working silly hours, I was always switched on, always working, always thinking about my project, waking up in the middle of the night, how was I going to do this, what client hadn't I spoken to, and the thing that really drove me was like creating change. Like I wanted to create an impact, and I realised that I wasn't really doing that much because I had low self-confidence. Do you know, I wasn't leading, and also I didn't have very much influence because the businesses that I was working with, I was coming in, there were senior people here, you've got to like learn to manage upwards, and there was all these sort of people skills, behavioural skills, like culture skills that I didn't have access to, that I realised were a really big part of this drive for sustainable change. We often see it in carbon metrics, you know, you've heard of like reducing your carbon emissions and so forth. We see it in terms of like practical actions, but actually we need to help people change. And that's really where I made a shift in my business about 6 years ago, and I was like, that's what's important. I need to help people change. And I realised that it doesn't matter if you're an individual, a small group, or a big corporation. it's kind of the same formula. It doesn't matter if you're trying to create a change in your personal life as well, this still works. You've got to engage the brain, how people think, how people feel, and their sort of will to change as well, their motivation. And if you don't get those three things right, then people are stuck in this land of wanting to do something, trying a little bit, and not really getting there. So I trained as a coach because I've been fortunate enough to have sort of leadership coaching, transformation coaching when I was in my little burnt out sticky phase, and I was like, wow, this is incredible, like everybody should have access to some kind of coaching. And now I work with sustainability professionals and impact professionals to help build this sort of mindset and leadership skills, and to help them build the culture change, the influencing, the managing upwards skills that they need to make their strategies not something that's sort of bolted on to the side of the company, and it's actually something that's very aligned to a business plan. Everybody gets it, leadership are walking the talk, and it's sort of filtering down in the organisation. So it's that point of change that people are getting stuck with, and that's where I have kind of niched my business into. So I still work in sustainability, I still use all my learnings from waste prevention, etc., but that's where I sit, and I love it. And I guess I'm driven by impact and making a difference, but I'm really driven by helping people change. And I think that's the thing that I love to do, working with a client and seeing that sort of change in them from like self-doubt to, oh my God, we're doing it. And it's really lovely to see. So that's my business, my company. What happened when I moved here was, as I kind of mentioned before, I was coming away from London. I really didn't want to live in London anymore. I really wanted to create a bit of a different life for myself. But I had clients in London that were drying up because of COVID, because of like people that were coming to me on referral. That all went. And I had this challenge of not being able to speak Portuguese, so I couldn't really go out and like talk to Portuguese companies around sustainability. I was like, I can't even say sustainability out properly, like this isn't going to work. And so I was like, what do I do? So I've been through a journey for the last sort of 4 years, working with different coaches, different consultants, getting advice off lots of people. And I thought there was 3 things that were really, really fundamental to this journey. So I wanted to share them with you. And I wanted to do a little bit of an exercise with you as well to sort of practice this, so we can all get comfortable. How does that sound? Yeah? So good. Okay, perfect. So the first thing that has really helped me is to get really, really clear on what I do. Because I used to talk to people and go, yeah, I work in sustainability and I do systems change. And everyone's like, what systems change? And like, a lot of people don't even know sustainability. And it's like, sorry. But it is. And I think it's a really important thing that we, whatever world we're working in, we get really caught up in our own bubble, our own speak. Maybe it's our tech speak, maybe it's our healthcare speak, do you know? And it's difficult for other people in layman's terms to understand this. So getting really, really clear on what you do, but not just what you do, who you help. I help sustainability and impact professionals. They know that's who I'm talking to. Getting really, really clear on what their problems are. They need leadership skills and they need culture change skills. And you can go into how you help them, but once you've told someone that who this is for, and you've started talking to someone about the problem that they're facing, they're already switched on to listening to you. And that was a game-changing shift in how I talk about my business. Who am I talking to? How do I help them? Getting really, really clear and nailing that. So I want everyone to have a little practice. So grab a post-it. We're going to do this on our own to start with. Grab a post-it and a pen. If you don't have a pen, I might have 1 or 2 here.
Oh, there's so many, don't worry.
Yeah? Oh, you've got some. And the reason we're doing this on one post-it is so we can't waffle on for a page and pages and pages of what we're doing.
Constraint.
So there is a bit of constraint defined by how small your handwriting is. But if you have a business or a business idea, I want you to just spend 2 minutes, I'm going to time it, thinking about what is it that I do in terms of who it's for and how I help them. If you don't have a business or a business idea, I want you to use something that you're passionate about, maybe a project you wanted to start, or maybe just an idea that's been buzzing around in the back of your head. Like, just pick something. Perfection is not the aim of the game here. It's just getting something down on paper so we can start to practice this. So everybody clear?
So
who you help and what their problem. So like, how do you help people? How do you help people? And what is it you do, focusing on how you help people, or what's your idea, focusing on how you help people? But anyway, getting really clear on what you do, who you help, and being able to explain that to someone in a really short space of time is not just helpful for the other person, it's helpful for you because it just shapes your vision of what you're doing. It also is something that, I mean, if you're kind of building bigger businesses, you'll need to start going into like elevator pitches and things. But a lot of the time it's about, for me, it's just, am I clear on what I do? If my friend asks me, my friends always used to ask me, what do I do? And I was like, you're not going to understand. So it's just this thing of like, it's good for us as well, so we have more clarity. The second thing that has been really fundamental for me and was absolutely excruciatingly painful was putting myself out there. And for me, I chose the medium of LinkedIn because all my clients were in the UK. But putting yourself out there means putting yourself where your potential clients are, where the people that you want to do business with are. So that might be things like this. It might be knocking on doors. It might be going to networking meetings. Or like me, it might be I chose LinkedIn, which meant I had to do a lot of outreach to people and go, hello. But once I was clearer on who I was talking to and who I could help, that made that process a lot easier. But this aspect of just going out there and saying the thing that you've written down on your post-it out loud to other people is super, super helpful. And it never needs to be perfect because it's always going to change and evolve as you change and evolve. So don't worry about having the perfect thing. I'd say actually going out and having the imperfect thing is going to help you to learn from your audience how to change that. What words land with them? What language makes them go, oh, that's interesting, tell me more. And then you can start to build that in. So the more that you can get really comfortable pushing yourself out there to the people that matter, then the better. So that's my number 2. And my number 3 is to have a supportive network, which you guys already have because Clary's been building this wonderful founders group. But have this group and use it to practice and use it to talk about the crappy day that you've had because it's been really difficult, and share the win because you'll all have other support people around you. But they won't quite understand it like someone trying to push their own business forward. So just making sure you've really not just got that network, but use it. And building that network can be coming to things like this, but it also, with my journey on LinkedIn, I have found so many collaborations that I'm now doing just by reaching out to someone with a direct message, wondering whether they could be a client, and realizing that actually we think on the same wavelength, and now we're doing a collaboration project together and we're looking at joint business ventures. So it really is about looking at all of putting yourself out there with a really open frame of mind. Maybe they could be someone that you work with, maybe they could be someone that supports you, maybe they could be someone that coaches you, maybe they could be someone that you learn from, but just having that really, really open aspect. And whenever you are building your network, one thing that's super valuable in building connections with people is being vulnerable. So putting yourself in a vulnerable position, in a vulnerable situation, like trying out your pitch, or like kind of just going up there and being brave and saying, sorry, do you mind if I just ask you a couple of questions? We actually connect emotionally to other people's vulnerability. So even if we're there cringing inside, we're building bonds with people, and people have empathy with our situation. So actually, by putting yourself out there even more, you're already starting to build those bonds of a supportive network. How's that for those 3 things? Any questions before we move on to an exercise?
No, it's very...
Yeah? All good?
Very helpful.
When you reach out to people on LinkedIn, do you say like, hey, I'm trying to build my network, or do you say like, hey, I can help you with X, Y, Z? How direct are you?
The method that I use, and I've been working, like I've had a coach teach me this, like a LinkedIn coach. And her method is to just be really conversation with people. Hey, I saw the article that you posted looks super interesting. That's interesting to me too. Or I see that we've both done X. Have a conversation. Like take it a little bit more like you would if you met someone in here. You wouldn't kind of kick in. Well, it's a bit different because it's for business networking, isn't it? But just treat it as a conversation and treat them as a person and see if there's interest. And if they reply, have a bit of a conversation and try and tease some questions out of them. But the general rule on LinkedIn is not to just go straight in with this is what I do, unless it's very specific and you can definitely help them, or they're not very active. So there's little things, but just get really comfortable building conversations. But something that helps with messaging is to comment on people's posts and like start the conversations off that way as well. Okay guys, should we get into the exercise? So we're going to practice those 3 things. We're going to practice getting really clear on what we do or what we want to do. We're going to practice putting ourselves out there, and we're going to build this network a little bit more because you're all going to find out what each other's projects and dreams and hopes are. Aww. So we're going to start off in this like speed founding. It's a little bit like speed dating, but we're going to time.
But it's about business, okay?
But it's about business. You don't have to tell people your kind of romantic desires, but you do need to talk about what's on your post-it. So did we say 1 minute for this? Yeah.
1 minute. Yeah.
So we're going to do 1 minute, and one person's going to say it's you two. But we're going to go down the thing like that. So for 1 minute, this side's going to talk, or one person's going to talk. It doesn't matter which way around you do. And then the timer's going to go off, and then we're going to set it again, and then the other person's going to talk. So we're going to have a go at saying our thing, and then we're going to move down the line. So we're going to have another go at saying our thing, and then we're going to see if through this process we can help to refine our message a little bit. And remember, perfection is not as important as putting yourself out there.
Okay.
So big, deep, calming breath, everyone. It's going to be amazing.